welcome back to Sunshine and Country Channel. Today we're going to be cooking some bacon, obviously, but it's bacon fried rice. We'll show you how to make a quick fried rice. We did a video earlier, probably post either before or after this one on how to make fried rice in the steamer here. So this is the result, I guess, if we can go ahead and do the result. Rice in the steamer here. As you can see, with the amount of water we were saying, is just the perfect consistency for fried rice. It's not too sticky and it's not too hard. It's not too dry. So you want this type of consistency, especially when you're making fried rice, because you don't want it to be too sticky. As you can see, I don't come over here to the better lighting. The rice is not sticking together. Not like it would if it was too much water in it. So this is the kind of thing. Once you add a little bit of oil and butter to it, it'll cook up really good. So we'll do that later on. I just want to show you what the result looks like after the rice cooker cooks the rice. We normally use a rice cooker because it's a lot easier. It's pre-programmed the time. You don't have to constantly watch it over a pot, which is a lot harder to do. You can do it that way, but it just takes more time and work. So we're doing quick meals today. Today, as far as the bacon, if you're just doing bacon and you don't want it to sit in grease, you can use this metal grate here, metal grid, and set it on top of the metal grid, a little bit of aluminum on the bottom, and just put it in the oven. We're going to do 375 for about 20 to 25 minutes. Just kind of watch it, and then you may have to broil it. We want to get it kind of crispy but not burnt, so that we can break it up later and add it to the fried rice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add it to the oven, and then at that point we're going to go ahead and cook up the egg to put into the rice, and then we'll also put the seasoning and the oil and the butter in the rice. It's already preset, so we just set the timer. I set it for 22, and then we'll come back and check it and see if it needs to go longer or not. Okay, it's heated up enough for the egg. And we're going to need the olive oil to add to the rice when we start mixing it up. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, while the bacon's in there, we're going to just put the eggs for the fried rice. There's one item we do add to the egg, to the rice I mean. This one you can use a few yolks. We normally just do a few yolks and the rest will be just the egg whites. And just kind of let it spread out into the pan. And this is the medium-low heat that we're using. The 3.5 cups of rice that we have in the rice cooker, this is about 6 eggs. And as I mentioned, just 2 of the yolks and the rest of the egg whites. May need to cut down on cholesterol, and you can do all if you want. It's up to you. And we don't have to add any seasoning to this. Oops, I made a mistake there. Looks like we have about 2.5 yolks. Just let it sit for a bit. And while I'm doing that, we'll go ahead and add some oil into the rice and we can mix that up. Probably about maybe about 1/8 of a cup of olive oil. quarter, it ain't to a quarter cup. And for butter, just do it 1 square there. Probably about a quarter to a third cup of, or the bar of butter. Not a cup. The only thing we add to the rice we cook here, and you can add whatever you like, is just regular pepper, garlic powder, and salt. Okay, and really you don't want to add too much at once. That's not a measurement, but add, mix it, and then taste it until you get it to how you like it. But I'd start out about with a small amount. And you can zoom in on that. That's just to see about how much I did there. And basically I would say probably a teaspoon of each item. Mix it in and then see how it works. Now when you're using a rice cooker, don't use the metal spoon obviously. Use your the one that came with the rice cooker, or any plastic spoon will work, because you don't want to damage this non-stick coating that's in the rice cooker. And so you're just mixing the oil, the butter, and all that into the rice. And once the egg is done, you'll also mix that in there as well. Okay, so we'll pause it here. Once everything's mixed up, then we'll come back and we'll start cooking the rice.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the egg. We just kind of flip it over, and then what you're doing with the egg to cook it is you're just cutting it up into little bits. So we won't bore you with that too much. We basically just use your spoon and just breaking it up into little bits, and then we're going to add that to the rice and mix it up. So once everything gets done in there, we'll come back and then start cooking the rice and show you how the rice is done. Okay, welcome back. We've got all the rice mixed up. I'm going to zoom in here. We got the egg in there. See how it's cut up into little bits. I used the metal spoon and just cut it up in the frying pan. Added it to this. Add a little bit more salt to it. Probably another teaspoon. You want it just to be like a hint of salt when you taste it. Just a hint of salt, because we'll be adding in later some soy sauce and some teriyaki sauce, probably about a quarter cup of each, maybe a little bit more on the soy sauce part of it. But that's why you don't want it too salty in here. Just a hint of salt when you taste it, and then we'll add it in to cook it. So this is going to be done. The rice itself going to be a medium-high heat, and we're using grape oil in the frying pan itself, not the olive oil, because you get too much smoking and browning when you use olive oil for that high of a heat. But grape oil does fine. See, it's starting to smoke now. It's at the perfect temperature. The reason why we put the olive oil in here and the butter is that when you put it into the pan, it's not going to stick to the pan right away, and it also helps the rice from sticking to each other too much as well while you're cooking. And we pre-mixed all the seasoning in the pot to make it easier while you're cooking. You don't have to do all that mixing in here while it's hot. So we'll go ahead and add the rice to the frying pan. And with this much rice, it's going to take 2 batches. We're just going to cook up the 1 batch, and then we'll end the video at that point just to show what they look like. So for the fried rice portion, you're just kind of letting it sit in the frying pan for between 1 to 2 minutes on each side, and then you just kind of keep rotating or flipping the rice with a spoon. So always watch your heat. Make sure you're on medium-high, not high. And you can adjust down or up as needed, depending on how brown your rice gets. So you want it to where your rice is a little bit crispy. That's part of the purpose of the fried rice. Not every grain, obviously, but you want it crispy, and then flip it, let it crisp, and let it flip, and then that way you'll have a mix of kind of soft rice and a little bit of crispy rice in your fried rice. So about a minute. I said no more than a minute and a half, really. I said 2 minutes earlier, but about a minute and a half is fine. It should crisp up the rice, and then as you rotate it, you can see some of it's browning already. And it's hard to see probably with the camera, but there is a little bit of browning on the grain of the rice itself. You don't want to burn the rice, even though it'll take a long time for rice to sit before it'll actually burn, but you don't want to burn the rice. That's the egg there, that's not rice. But the rice is going to have just a slight brown to it. So you don't want it dark brown or nothing like that. And once you get everything flipped over, just let it sit again. And it's pretty simple to cook. And the grain of rice we normally use for this is jasmine rice. And you can get those at any Asian market store, grocery store, or they sell it now in the Publix and other grocery stores as well. Jasmine rice, if you don't have that, then you can use long grain. I haven't used any other types of grain rice, so I don't know how those will turn out, but normally jasmine turns out really good for fried rice. And then in another video, we're just doing stir-fried vegetables to go with it. Nothing special there, just cutting them up, frying them, and then adding in the same type of sauces to the vegetables. So we can do a video on it and may post that as well. But that's what we'll have as a side item to go with the rice is the asparagus, onions, mushrooms, and zucchinis cut up into chunks, broken up into bits here. These will be cut in wedges and then just peeling them apart. A little bit of shredded carrots. And then we'll cook all that up. Add the sauces, a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic powder to it. And then we'll have our meal for the day. Time to flip this again. And sometimes it's difficult in the frying pan. I like using it because you get more of an even distribution than a wok. But you can also use a wok if you have difficulty with controlling the rice, because it does tend to move around and you can spill out the sides. So a wok will work too. Just you'll have most of your highest heat concentrated at the very small end of it. There's just a more even distribution on the frying pan. So we've done it both ways.
Bacon.
Yep, the bacon has just went off, so we're going to go check that real quick. Once this is all flipped around again. And you'll flip this around a few times, maybe 3, maybe 4 times. You should have a good amount of fried rice in there. And then after that, you'll dump it into the other container. Obviously keep this away from your heat so that this is a metal. It doesn't get too hot and burn you when you pick it up. So we're keeping it away from the gas. Since that's flipped around now, we'll go around and check the bacon here. Smells good, that's for sure. So the bacon needs to go a little bit longer, but we're going to put it on the broil so it'll crisp it up a little bit more. That way we can break it up a little bit and add it to the rice. So we'll go to upper oven and broil. We'll broil it at probably maybe 400 for a few minutes. We'll come back. We'll set the timer here. 3 minutes. This is ready to flip again. And you notice I'm not adding anything to it, not sauce and nothing to it while I'm flipping it. If you do that, if you add the sauce while you're cooking, you'll have to flip it more often because that'll start caramelizing. You don't want the sauce itself to burn. You can do that, but you do have to do a little bit more flipping with it. So normally I just cook the rice just by itself, and then I add the sauce later. The other way, you do get a little bit more what they call caramelizing of the sauce, and may add a little bit extra flavor to that. But you have to really watch your heat, and then also make sure it don't burn. So as you can see, the oil being pre-added to the rice, the olive oil, and a little bit of the butter. It makes the rice really smooth cooking. It just slides around. And there's also a thin coat of grape oil in there as well, so it's not sticking to the metal. And also, kind of each other itself. It's kind of loose. It's easy to stir around. And we'll let it sit a little bit longer, and then we'll be done with this batch. We'll put it in here, and then we'll add the sauce to it, and then we'll be done. Well, the rice part will be done, and you'll be ready to eat it. After we add the bacon too. So once the final product is finished with the vegetables, the bacon, everything added, I guess we'll put it on a plate, and then we'll show you what it looks like. Flip it around again. I'm gonna get a little closer. This one here, you can see kind of the brownness of the rice grain. What it kind of looks like when it's crisped up. Just a real slight tan brown to it. I did spill a little bit there. There are some people that are really good with flipping, like this. I'm not going to try that today. I'm not as good with that. So the spoon method works for me. Especially not with rice. Alright, as we can see, there's a lot of browning here. So this rice is pretty much done. It's ready to be put into the other container. So that yeah, I think we're pretty good on that. We'll turn off the oven. Just let it sit in there for a little bit while longer. Set the timer so we don't forget it. Just to be in the heat itself with nothing but the oven is off. And then we'll go ahead and dump this out. And it is ready to go. So that's quick, pretty easy. Some fried rice. Some people who have never made it before. Slowly put it out of here because this bowl is not as wide as a frying pan, so it tends to want to not fall into the bowl as it's coming out. I'm kind of having to help scoop it. Some of it's going to fall past the bowl. So I guess note to self, make sure the bowl is bigger than the frying pan, that way it just dumps right into it. If you don't want to have to slowly pour it. You see nothing burned or stuck to the pan. So we can use it for the next batch. We'll set the heat, we're trying to heat down a little bit here so that it doesn't get overheated. And before we cook the next batch, we'll just reheat it back up when we add oil. So now we have the rice in here. The bacon's about to be done soon, but we'll go ahead and add the sauces to it and mix it up. So like I said, just soy sauce, whatever your favorite brands are, and teriyaki sauce. Add the combination of both. And we'll do the soy sauce first. And this is what gives it that brown color, obviously. So maybe a quarter cup there. And the soy and the teriyaki sauce is the same. It adds a little bit of extra flavor to the rice. And then just mix it up until it's evenly coated. And that adds the extra, extra flavor into the rice. So that's why I was mentioning earlier, you don't want to add too much salt in the beginning. You just want just a hint. Okay, so we added the teriyaki soy sauce and everything is heated up. Mixed up now, and everything's evenly coated, as you can see here. So it's ready to serve once you add in your bacon and mix it up as well. Put your sauce in there and it's ready to go. We'll be right back once we finish up all the other items, the last batch, and then we'll be back to show you the final product. All right. Okay, for the vegetables, we're back for the vegetables. Basically, we did the same thing as the rice. Cut it up, put it in a bowl, and then mix in a little bit of oil in there, olive oil, and then all the seasonings that you want. And then we're going to use kind of a medium-high heat, let the pan heat up, a thin layer of grape oil. And then you're wanting to let it sit and let it brown, kind of let it brown like this mushroom is right here, that mushroom. Caramelize the vegetable, let it brown. You don't want it too low of a heat or else the water gets drained out of it. You want it high enough of a heat to where it'll brown the outside but still cook it when you cover it up later for the steam. But that's how we do the vegetables. Then we'll just go back in and add the sauce to it and it'll be done. Okay, so that's the vegetable. The first batch is done. You want the vegetable cooked to be done, but not too done, not too soggy, not too crisp. And what you're looking for when you're stir frying is that there's not a whole lot of water. You see, you don't want all the water seeping out of the vegetable. So this is how you would like it to look. So that's why it's important to keep a good heat in there. And then let it sit, and then you see some of it browning or caramelizing of the vegetable. And then you just cover it, let it sit, and let it cover, let the steam cook it. And this is pretty much done. It's ready to be put out into another bowl, mix it up in the sauce, and then we'll start the next batch.